and welcome to this FPL Gameweek 6 wildcard team selection with me, Holly Shand. After the worst game week so far of the season, my wildcard is active for FPL Gameweek 6 and I'm keen to make some progress after a pretty shocking game week. Let me know how your Game Week 5 went in the comments and leave a like. Let's get this one to 1,000 likes and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hit 26k in the next few days. Let's get into it. Starting off with my Game Week 5 team review then, and pretty shocking game week. 39 points I ended on. I know some people had an even worse week than that, so let me know if you did. Help me feel a little bit better about things. Haaland, Salah and Saka were the only players that returned. Salah a bit more differential. The defence, though, pretty shocking, and they've ran into a lot of problems, and this is the big reason why I've needed to wildcard. That and having too many Chelsea players, because Turner and Johnston both failed to keep clean sheets. Both are under a lot of pressure from backup goalkeepers trying to steal their spot. Either of them could easily see themselves dropped going into game week 6. Then I had Estepinian, who was left out of the squad for Brighton after a busy international break. Chilwell, who was benched for Chelsea out of absolutely nowhere. Rico Henry went off with an injury. He's done his ACL, so he's now out long term. Kabore did start for Luton after being benched in the previous game, but he's a rotation risk now. Baldock injured as well. So basically, there's no one in my defence I can rely on right now. I've just hit too many issues. Even with 2 free transfers, it wasn't something that I could repair. And then in my attack, Sterling and Jackson, what a woeful combination they've been since bringing them in game week 4. Jackson's finishing is awful, quite frankly, and he's 1 yellow card away from a suspension now. So that's given me the added motivation to play the wild card going into game week 6. So even though I'm very happy with Haaland and Salah in my team, having very little funds has left me very inflexible to deal with other problems that come up. So while I'm planning to retain Salah on wildcard, I need to be a little bit more thoughtful about how I use the other funds in the other 13 players in the squad. Now, my game week rank was just inside the top 7 million, still in the top 1 million, which after 5 game weeks of the season is no bad place to be. 302 points overall, but now I need to be proactive, make some changes to keep my squad moving up, because I think this is the 3rd red arrow in a row. Before I get into the wildcard selection, I just wanted to talk quickly about the midweek fixtures, because European football returns tonight. Recording this video on Tuesday morning. We've got Newcastle, Man City, Manchester United and Arsenal in Champions League action today and tomorrow. Then on Thursday, we've got 3 teams involved in the Europa League, West Ham, Brighton and Liverpool. And we've got Aston Villa involved in the UEFA Europa Conference League as well. So that's 8 teams in European action. So if you're not on a wild card this week and you don't need to make moves right now because it's not a case of having the exact funds, try and hold off, because a lot could change with 8 teams playing midweek and you don't want to find yourself stuck because you've jumped early with that transfer. Wildcard selection then, and because Salah stays, I need to be a little bit more cautious of the budget, particularly in the goalkeeper spots. But there was no room for Johnston or Turner because they're both now rotation risks. I've actually opted for Flecken as my main goalkeeper from Brentford, with Areola as the backup. Now this pair do rotate quite nicely. I'm only using 8.6 million of the budget, with Areola the best backup goalkeeper in the game right now. The thing that's encouraged me with Flecken is that if you look at Brentford, they've conceded just 7 big chances on their goal so far this season, which is 4th of all teams in the Premier League, and they've still got some nice fixtures to come, so I'm really hopeful that he can do well for me. And I've got Areola there as backup. He can come when Brentford blank in game week 18, but it's also Man City's game with Brentford will need to be rescheduled at some point, so it could be ahead of the curve as well, having a goalkeeper ready for a double game week later in the season. Now, we do need to bear in mind that wildcarding now, this team's probably going to last me a minimum of 20 game weeks, so I have to be a little bit more cautious with the player picks now, because I can't make that massive surgery with a wild card to get me out of trouble like I have in this situation this week. Moving into the defence, and the first name on the team sheet was Newcastle United's Sven Botman. 4.5 million is an absolute bargain for him. Newcastle have conceded just 6 big chances on their goal this season, which ranks them second overall. They're hitting nice fixtures now as well. And while some players from Newcastle could be rotated due to their Champions League involvement, there's not going to be any motivation from Eddie Howe to rotate his centre-backs. And he does carry some goal threat, even though he is a centre-back, with 4 shots and 2 big chances created so far this season. Attacking returns will come for him. The second defender that I've gone for is Aston Villa's Matty Cash, who is top among defenders for shots on goal this season with 11. He's still playing as an advanced winger, really thriving in that position. And Villa's fixtures remain nice. Obviously, the Europa Conference League is a little bit of a headache in terms of how Unai Emery manages his squad through that, but Cash still looking like a great FPL pick right now. The third defender spot has confused me a little bit, but I really want to keep hold of Pervis Estupiñán. For me, I think he'll come back in after a busy international break. It's after the international breaks where there's a rotation risk, so I've got to bear that in mind in game week 9 and 13, but I do have options to cover from the bench. But first of all, it allows a route into a Brighton attack that is looking fantastic right now. It also means that I'm covering the best defender for attacking returns in the game right now. He's top for key passes with 12, top among defenders for expected goal involvements as well with 2.5. Bournemouth at home this week. He just feels like a must-own. I'll obviously keep an eye on its minutes in the Europa League, but I think he's a really nice pick, and I don't want to lose that route into the Brighton side. In terms of the players on my bench, Udogie makes it in. 4 key passes for him this season so far. No European action will help as well. 2 tricky fixtures coming up for Spurs, so he's likely to be on my bench until game week 8, but I don't think that's a massive issue. He's there when I need him. And the 5th defender I've gone for is Burke at Luton. Because of that double game week 7 in mind, I had a slot for a 4 million defender. I'd have loved to have Kabore in there, who was in my previous squad, but that benching against West Ham worries me that he is a rotation risk. Burke does have some attacking threat though. He's second among Luton's defence for expected goal involvements this season with 0.8. He's going to be on my bench most weeks, but I will give him the start in double game week 7, and hopefully he can produce something with a nice pair of fixtures. Into the midfield then, and of course, Mr. Consistent Mo Salah retains his place. He's been in sensational form all season. Top for big chances created with 6, top for assists with 4, second for expected goal involvements on 6.1, behind only Erling Haaland. Hopefully he's still on penalties, but Liverpool got nice fixtures now. They get even better around game week 9, but he feels like a lock in my team, potentially a captain pick in game week 9 and 10 when City have tricky fixtures as well. So he's a player I'm really happy to hold long term. Saka, Maddison and Mbomo all keep their places in my attack. Great underlying numbers for them. Saka definitely the best Arsenal player right now. 5th for key passes with 15. He's on set pieces. And Mbomo is on all set pieces, including penalties as well. 6 big chances for him, which ranks him 3rd of all players. 5th for expected goal involvements with 4 as well. And then Maddison, his routes to points are ridiculous. He's on corners, he's on free kicks. He's had 16 shots this season, 14 key passes. I believe that he is fixture proof, and he's a player that I'm really happy to own. Now, the 5th midfielder spot is causing me a little bit of a headache. I've considered Foden in here. I've also considered Mitoma. I could potentially get Son as well. It would mean downgrading Estupiñán to a 4 million defender, playing Udogie each week. It feel like it does weaken my side getting Son in, but leaving a little bit of money in the bank, 1.5 million in the bank, I can get to Son in 2 moves for game week 9 if I feel like I need him in my squad. But it's just his positioning that's still a bit unclear after Richarlison excelled from the bench last week that puts me off. So at the moment I've got Diaby in as a bit of a placeholder. He's really passing the eye test though. 11 shots, 9 key passes. Aston Villa looking like a solid side at the moment, and with Watkins off penalties, I think Diaby's probably just about edging him out as the better pick from this Villa side right now. So he may not be a player that I own long term, but it does allow me to get back to a Manchester United player if I wanted to in a few weeks' time, to get to Son, can basically move anywhere and play the fixtures. So he's in at the moment in the midfield in this 3-5-2 formation. Into the front line then, and Haaland is an obvious lock. 13 big chances this season. The next best is 7. 29 shots in the box this season as well. The next best is 19. He's going nowhere. Now, next to him, I've picked out Manchester City's Julian Alvarez. Now, I've gone into quite a lot of detail on my latest article for betting odds, which is out later today, why Alvarez is such a good pick for game week 6 and beyond. Nottingham Forest at home. He's basically playing every single minute for Man City. That could change with Champions League action, but City have got quite an easy group, so I can't see that being the case. 17 corners, is heavily involved in set pieces right now. 16 key passes, is second among all players. Only Haaland has got more than his 7 goal involvements so far this season. He's excellent value. He's probably going to go up in price again this week, and I just had to get him in my squad. I do need to bear in mind that at some point I'm probably going to have to move him on because City do blank in game week 18, and I may not have enough cover on my bench to really navigate that week. But in the meantime, a fabulous pick, and I've gone with Archer on my bench as just a budget route into Sheffield United attack. 4.5 million. He's an obvious pick right now. I haven't got the flexibility to have a really strong 8th attacker on my bench, but it doesn't give me a benching dilemma every week. It allows me to retain Salah in my squad, and I'm very happy with how this team is looking. Haaland obviously going to be my captain in game week 6 as well. 1.5 million in the bank. I guess the 3rd defender and a 5th midfielder spots are the ones that could potentially change between now and the deadline. But, you know, a very solid opening squad. Now, I did run this squad through the AI tool on Fantasy Football Hub. Gave me a game week 6 rating of 95%, up from 90%, so a good improvement. 69.9 predicted points for this week. It did want me to play Burke over Cash. However, I'm going against that because I do not want to bench a player that's capable of scoring a brace from defence in open play. So for me, Cash stays, Burke first sub, but still looking very solid for the upcoming game week. You can get your AI recommended transfers on Fantasy Football Hub using the link in the description to this video or in the comments. I hope you found this one useful. If you think there's anything I need to change, do let me know, and get this one to 1,000 likes and me over the line to 26,000 subscribers. All of your support is really appreciated. I'll be back on Thursday with the experts team, so make sure you're hitting the notify button as well. Good luck for FPL Game Week 6.